I went totally spinning, you know, where your head's just spinning.
Yikes.
And didn't want anybody to see, so I'm kind of being stealthy, going back to the truck, you know, hiding in there. And finally I thought, I don't know what's going on with me. So they checked me, and of course, if you're a guy like me and walk into the hospital, it's total stroke check. You know, they put you in the thing and do it. I was in the hospital till midnight before they discharged me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It just shows you how much I do on set. Nobody even knew I was gone. He told the director I wasn't there at the end of the day.
Wait, which day was it?
It was the second day.
Second day. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I was totally out. But you know what? That just, and you know what it ultimately was? They were checking me for surgery. It was a kidney stone.
Oh.
I was having a kidney stone, and it was but it was because I was so weak, so exhausted, no food.
You and I had a conversation that day.
Yes.
You were pretty great.
Yeah, I know. I was great up until that moment.
Wow.
Because that was a half hour after I talked to you.
Always. I was great up until the moment I spoke with you, Melissa.
After that,
and
I had to go.
Kidney stone.
Yeah, that's it. But you know, I'm kind of holding back now because it's not, and I'm so busy that it's. I got to be, you know, here. Oh. Are you hearing it, Tony? Okay, sorry. I can pull it up. Okay, now is the time to share.
Okay. Oh. I've been ordered.
Ordered. This is it.
Okay. So
I'll be nice the first time, but that's it, Melissa.
Okay, no worries. So I go into Applebox.
Now is the time on sprockets. We dance.
Here we are. How do I share? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I see it.
And then right post.
Well, it goes to my. I need to copy the link.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it goes onto my
Oh, gotcha.
regular. We want it on my
You effers. They did? How so? All right, wonderful, wonderful.
You have more pages to share on.
Well, you know what? I hired a social media person to help me, who I was going to, and I need to talk to you about that too, but I was going to, she got hired by General Motors. I had her like for 2 weeks, so she went from Burnie's Grip and Lighting to General Motors.
Well.
And then it was gone. But thank God, because she is so great. She was so great. I had 13 pages, and she goes, you got way too many pages.
Yeah,
you know,
I
so
would
we
say
took
so,
it down to 4. You
Wow.
know? And that's actually, I understand now, that's still too many. You know?
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, no. I realized so many mistakes I made in social media in the beginning that you kind of go down a path. And then you got to go through.
There's no handbook.
There is very none.
Right.
None.
And
Yeah, true. What worked at the first, you know what I mean? That changes all the time.
Yep.
You know.
Sure does.
A lot of people are getting very fed up with Facebook. I mean, it's like, yeah. Okay, before we go, I've changed my mind. I don't want to do it. everybody, how you doing? It's 2 o'clock on Friday. Got to be Burnie's Applebox, and we are here with an awesome show today because I got a ringer on today. Melissa Street.
Hey.
Melissa, how you doing,
I'm
sweetie?
good. How are you?
All right,
Thanks for
very
having me back,
good.
actually.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Melissa was here, I think, probably over a year ago,
Yeah,
wasn't
I think
it?
so.
Yeah. And I've tried to get her on a couple times, but busy schedule, all that good stuff, you
Yeah.
know, making a living.
Making a living in the trenches.
In the
Yeah.
trenches, and that's what we're going to talk about today, too.
We are.
Getting out there, doing it right. I always get excited at first, so I better slow down, follow the order, Burnie, follow the order. Okay, let me introduce the guys here. We have Sean and Tony there.
Hey everyone.
And
Good to see you.
Christina, if you can kind of get over there, put a hand in. Christina's here too. Yeah. There's our studio audience.
That's our studio
She is our studio audience.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. Wow. What you are doing for makeup people and the group that you've got, you're talking to, your discussions, I mean, mind-blowing.
I'm trying.
Mind-blowing. And you know what? I've got to tell you this because, you know, I come from a real pure place, like you come from a pure place. We are talking about work. We are talking what worked for us and what we know works, right?
Absolutely.
And to hear you say it, I just absolutely love it. And it gives me some push too, because I go, yeah, that's right. I'm not just flapping my lips and nobody's listening.
Right.
This is the truth. This is what we should be doing.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So fantastic. So tell me, what are you talking about these days? What's going on?
I think mostly what I'm talking about is, you know, what it's like to be a working makeup artist. You know, I think a lot of makeup artists, they go to school or they're self-taught, but unless you're really out there working, you don't know what to expect or, you know, what to even plan for, and it can be scary. To say the least.
To say the least. To say the least.
Yeah.
You know, and you guys, I think it's always fascinated me in the fact that really in our like video production world, you guys are the one group or department that really goes out and does. You can have sort of seamlessly go to like live events. You can go to photo shoots, you know, you can do other things than just be on set, you know, with us. So I think it's such a great opportunity for those lessons and doing those things.
Yeah,
too.
I do talk about that. In fact, I kind of called it the makeup artist highway.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're all on the makeup artist highway. It's a 6-lane highway or whatever it is, and we're all on the way to referral and rehire city. So I talk a lot about picking your lane, choosing your lane, but people do, you know, naturally some makeup artist genres float into the other lanes, you know, it just happens. Or maybe if you're in a smaller city or whatever, it just happens because there's not a lot of makeup artists.
Not
you know?
all of the opportunities are in one place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I talk about that, and I talk a little bit about how to do that properly without, you know, making enemies along the way.
About making your transitions and doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I think there's definitely rules to that game, and how people should be doing it the right way. And
Give me an example.
well, I mean, you know, honestly, you can't be an expert at every genre of artistry. It's just not possible. You know, television and film is based on technology. A lot of your knowledge is based on skill that coincides with the technology that's happening on set. So transitioning that into, say, print or red carpet, you know, sometimes things are different. You know, you're working with a photographer, not necessarily with a DP, you know, someone who does TV and film. And so there's different rules in that, you know, and things you got to know.
And different goals and motivations, too.
Different goals and motivations, yeah, absolutely. And then you can't necessarily be a television and film artist and then be totally into bridal. mean, some people can, and they
Yeah.
and I always think that bridal artists get the end of the bad end of the stick or the short straw because we don't look at them as being as professional,
Yeah.
but they really are. I mean,
Yes.
they have it down. They have
Yes.
contracts and all these things that I never even would have thought of.
You know what? And just to pick up on that point too, because it's the same certainly in video. You know, there
Right.
used to be a thing. Well, I used to do. You know, people go, I did wedding. You know,
Yeah, right.
something
Right.
like that.
Right.
You were ashamed to admit it. You're saying
Right. It was
it's
a
a
stigma.
different genre now.
Right,
It
totally.
is truly a different genre because there are people making huge money.
Yes.
On weddings.
Absolutely, and I think with the DSLR cameras and things like that, where you can actually shoot live video, but they'll also take these incredible photos.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, so I think that what I like to teach people is, figure out what your bread and butter genre of artistry is and really become an expert in that. And then if you want to play in some of the other lanes or drive in some of the other lanes, do it, but do it with respect for the people who those lanes are their
Yes.
bread and butters.
Yes.
You're not stealing clients,
Right.
and, stuff like that.
Right.
So I kind of talk a lot about that.
Well, I think that fits in specifically to the makeup world, but in the other world that we live in our other video and production, the other departments, it's very difficult to just make a lateral.
Right.
Usually, if you're going to make a lateral, it has to be a dip in a lateral
Right,
because
right.
you're going to come in down here, and then because of your knowledge and stuff, you'll raise a little faster in that
Right.
field. But it's not just a no-brainer to go from one to the other, and
Nope.
that's what you're seeing right now
Right.
too, or saying right
Right.
now. Would you have a suggestion, somebody starting out there, what type of makeup should they get into first? What do you think a first goal should be? Should it be doing, say, like just cosmetics or runway or?
I think it all depends on what your interest is. I think that you should test the waters in all the genres of artistry to figure out, dip your toe in and figure out what you do like. I mean, I work with people all the time who start out with me in television, but what they really want to do is they want to do editorial, makeup and be in print. But they're testing the waters out to see how, what they would prefer. And sometimes they find that they have a really a knack for it, a knack for television more, and people want to work with them. They feel comfortable, and they understand it. So
And there's probably
encourage
personal environments people are more comfortable with.
Sure.
Somebody may be much more intimidated on a set
Right.
than they are at a wedding.
Absolutely.
It would be the opposite for me.
Absolutely.
but,
I could never be a bridal artist. I tried that a million years
Okay.
ago, and my personality doesn't
Doesn't
mesh well with a bride, a bride who is under pressure and her
Yeah.
flowers didn't show up and her cake
Well-
is wrong, or whatever. I don't mesh well with that, so.
Well, you know what? My whole take on makeup artistry, and as I say almost every show, unfortunately, is that I came in late. So all these different departments were very new to me, and one of the first things that struck me was that the makeup artist was almost like the set psychologist a little bit, because they took whoever was going to be the A-lister,
Yeah.
and they put them in the chair, and you were the person that spent 20 minutes with them before they stepped out on set.
Yes. So makeup artists, and one of the things that I think one of the most important things that makeup artists need to know is that you're the first person people see, and you're usually the last person that people see. So whoever it's a celebrity or a CEO or whoever it is that you're working with, a model, whoever it is, you are like the bartender, you're the therapist,
Yep.
and they rely on you. I told you guys before, I think last time I was here, I talked about I have somebody I call like my business coach, and my business coach had said to me, every time I sit in your chair, I ask the 3 questions. I'm like, okay, what's the 3 questions? And the 3 questions were, are you good at what you do? Can I trust you? And do you care about me? And he was literally asking those 3 questions, but I was answering them with my actions. What does my kit look like? What do I bring to the table? Was I
love
really
that.
taking care of this person? And he said, I think I'm not the only person who does that. I think every single person who sits in a makeup artist's chair is thinking those 3 things. And your actions, what you say, how you interact, what your makeup kit is like, your skills, all of that speak thousands.
to that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, they do, really.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, so
That's really
I remember
awesome.
that every time I go on set. Every single time I go on set, whether it's
Wow.
somebody that I always work with or somebody that's brand new to me.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yep.
Now, I want to show what you
Yeah.
brought here, because this is in, from my world
Yes.
to your world.
I wanted to do this because I am getting ready to teach a class. I'm developing a class on tools of the trade. And what I really want to do is teach it in makeup academies or schools and talk to students about the correct items that you need to invest in after schooling. What do you really need? You know, do you need $1 million worth of product, or do you need specific tools? And specific tools are really, really important. So I wanted to bring this because Burnie's been my lighting director many times, and I don't think I've ever actually asked your opinion on this, which is this thing I do that's, I always tell you guys, you know, the makeup artists out there, you should be inviting your lighting director in. Ask him what he thinks about the lighting that you're doing makeup in, because you will learn some very interesting things.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever done that with you.
Probably not. Yeah.
Okay, so I decided this time around I was going to bring the makeup light in. Anybody who's watching me from my world knows that I talk about this all the time. So this is a panel light. It's an LED.
And notice. Let me just say, notice that it's clipped to the edge of the desk.
It is.
So that's something you can easily do. And then is a bendable thing here, so you can put it in any position you want.
Right. The makeup light comes with all kinds of different.
Want me to turn it on, or?
Yeah, you can turn it on actually. Wait a minute. You know what? The battery might not be.
Uh-oh.
So the battery pack is a new thing. It should probably turn on.
So this is right now powered by the battery.
It's powered by their portable battery.
There it is.
So the makeup light came out with a portable battery. You don't need to necessarily have that, but they have that. And so I wanted to get your opinion, because this is the light that I rely on now when I'm either in a trailer or a makeup room or in the corner or in a closet or wherever they stick me.
Yeah.
I needed a light that was, A, that was dimmable, right? And B, that was like I call it pure. This is where I need Burnie to like actually give me
I would
words.
refer to it as clean.
Clean, okay. So that I can see undertones and that I can properly see the colors of the makeup that I'm putting on, okay? And so then when it goes to set, it looks right on camera. So, and this is the light that I'm using, and I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Yes.
So,
well, as you know, we looked at it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's brilliant. You know.
Really? Okay, good.
Well, here's part of the reason is somebody has identified a problem and found a solution. I think that's what's really brilliant about it. You know, but it's a great light. I looked at it. I think it hits all the buttons. It is daylight. It is dimmable.
Right.
You can put it in. It has easy applications. It comes with a stand as well.
Yeah, it does. It comes with a whole bunch of different accessories.
Yeah.
It comes with, well, actually, you can get gels for it too, which we talked a little bit about.
So this is naturally at 5,000, you said.
Yes,
right?
5,000, right. Yeah. And I mean, this is where we're getting kind of technical. I'm not here to teach a lighting class. But if I wanted to...
Yeah.
Right. If I needed to somewhat match your on-set lighting and say we were working in tungsten and 3,200 temperature, I can gel it. Whether you have gels from the makeup light or whatever, you can go to you and say, Burnie, can I borrow a gel?
Can I have a little scrap?
Right, exactly. So you can change it to be more orange in tone. I don't even know if that's picking up, but...
yeah, you know, when you're putting directly light, but you can tell it. This is 2 quarters, right?
Right, it's 2 quarters stuck together.
2 quarters CTO.
Right.
So it's in there, and then do you have little?
I have clips, actually.
Clips that you put on there?
I do have clips.
Oh, look.
They're in my bag, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. We'll hold
I
them
have
up.
little 247s, C47s.
I'm going to give you some C47s.
I have some C47s,
right,
I
good,
do.
Good.
But then we do that, and then I can also bump it up to be...
Put the red on there. Let's see if that red plays.
Let's see if the red plays.
Yeah, so the red plays probably a little more.
Yeah.
But that's real red, and this is for, you said, if you were...
If I was working on a film where it required, you know how when two actors are in the car and they're driving and maybe there's a car in front of them that stops and it's got a red light,
so
got the red light, what your makeup looks like, or if they're in a bar, you know, or they're doing a disco scene or something like that, what is your makeup? The thing about that is, you know, the scene before that, they're not in the car, but the makeup will be the same. What does the makeup look like in the car against red?
That's very
right.
good.
So you have to tweak some of that, and the same thing for after the fact.
Right.
So that's what I love about this light, is it gives me the ability to do that. It gives me the ability to do the makeup in the light that I can actually see the colors and see the undertone, and then I can use these gels and I can go to Burnie and say, what are we filming on set? And then I can put the gels on and say, oh, yes, okay.
Now you see, here it is under tongues and all that.
Right.
And you know, the nice thing too is the consistency of
Right.
it, because so many times I'm coming into a makeup room and she's over in a dark corner, you know, in a flashlight and
right.
Everything like that. They come
My
up,
phone,
but
yeah.
I give her a light I select. You know
Right.
what I mean? The next gaffer may give her an entirely different light,
Right.
and even bounce it or go direct or diffuse it or something
Right.
like that. This is consistency.
Right.
You see this time and time again, and I think that's a real value.
Right, and I also think that it's something for me. I invested in it because there are days when I don't have a lighting director.
Yes,
There are days when I
no.
can't borrow a light.
Right.
You know, your lighting rental packages and things like that. I mean, budgets get tighter.
Oh, yeah, or just I'm not there.
Or you're not there,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so this at least I have, and it's compact and portable. I can take it with me. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
No, this is
So
great. Tell people how to get this.
They
if
can
wanna
get it from the Makeup Light off of their website, so themakeuplight.com, or you can get it through any of the supply houses that do makeup, that supply makeup to the.
You know, I'm starting on-set lighting too, where
Right.
we're going into sales. This would be a perfect item.
Well, I'll have to hook
for
you
us.
guys together.
Yeah,
So
we'll
we
get
will
it
do
going.
that.
But,
Okay.
But that's really nice.
Great.
You know what? I think we're going to take a little break now. Let's do a little break,
Okay.
and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Burnie. I own Burnie's Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. You know, we pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnie's Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No. We present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. We move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnie's Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set. And we're back. Here we are.
Hey.
So you were talking something today that I read this morning, and maybe it was on your Instagram, maybe it was on Facebook, I can't remember what. But you were going through, and it was something you just mentioned about labeling when you have your stuff laid out. And what I loved about it is you were talking about, remember correctly here, that if you were doing multiple actors, how you marked your stuff and things like that. I think that's very interesting for a makeup artist, because this would be something in my world or something that would make me crazy, but we have to do the same things. You have different cues, different actors that get different key lights.
Right. So one of the things that's super important to makeup artists is working clean, working sanitary, and producers should know this too. What you don't ever want is to cross-contaminate makeup ever. You don't want to use the same product directly from a componentry or a tube or whatever it is on two different people. It's just not the same thing with a brush. You want to have plenty of brushes.
You don't want to drink out of somebody else's glass,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and makeup artistry, I feel like of all the people on a crew, makeup is the thing that has to be replaced constantly.
Yes.
So we have expiration dates We have, things that get old and smelly, like mascaras, and you wouldn't want to, keep using that. So out of all the crew, we have to replenish our kits continuously. So cross-contamination is really something you want to avoid. So we label a lot of things, we decant things, we make sure that every actor has their own kind of touch-up kits, and we're not double dipping into anything, and we're not using the same brushes ever, same sponges, same orange puffs, anything like that. So this artistry, this career is also an expensive career to be in.
Yeah.
It's an expensive investment.
Well, as a makeup artist, then you have to really look at, say, and I don't know the terms, but just say you buy 3 ounces of something.
Yeah.
And okay, 3 ounces, I usually go through this. So if I don't go through it by this date, then it's a new one. And you can't buy 2 at one time and thinking that's going to last,
because
right?
the expiration date still happens.
So the expiration date.
Exactly.
How do you price that?
Yeah.
Just talk to me about that.
So my labor charge is one thing, my rate is one thing, but the kit fee becomes very important. And a kit fee is, I charge kit fees for everything. It doesn't matter how many people sit in the chair. It is literally to help me offset the costs of what I'm now providing to the actual production. Whether it's disposables that, paper towels, Q-tips, things like that will just get, used and thrown out or recycled, or it's actual makeup. Or if an actor and actress has made a special request of a certain brand, then I actually have to go and ask production for budget for that too. Aside from the kit fee. So, and then I also have things like equipment charges. So if I do have to bring my own light, my own makeup, surface, my table, a chair, my airbrush machine, whatever it is, then I have equipment charges too. It's the only way.
And that's over and above your kit fee.
It's over and above the kit fee. The equipment charge is over and above the kit fee, because if this was a union thing that we were working on, in a union contract, a production says they will provide, for whatever it is for the makeup artist or for whoever. And so they will provide things like the work surface, the trailer, whatever it is. But in freelance, they don't do that. We barely get NDAs. So, I'll get stuck wherever I get stuck. I'm coming to you. Please give me light. I'm borrowing a chair from God knows who. And it's not right, and it's not comfortable for me. So I decided to start bringing my own stuff. And invest in the tools and then charging an equipment charge.
How do you handle that information transfer when you first started the job? I mean, and this, it's a little different for me every time I do it too.
How do I talk to a producer about it?
And when do you put that in? When does that appear? Immediately.
So for me, what has really worked is I changed a little tiny word. I changed quote to estimate. So when a producer calls me and says, here's what we're doing, what do you charge? I try to get as much information as I possibly can. Sometimes I'll say it over the phone, but I always say I'm going to follow it up with a written estimate. And when I put the estimate together, in the very bottom of the estimate, it has everything laid out like a little deal memo. Here's what I'll provide. Here's what my hours are. I work a 10-hour day. Overtime starts here. Cancellation policy. I don't do wardrobe. On and on and on. I also use terms like firm book, soft hold. If I don't get this estimate back signed, then this is considered a soft hold. So I will continue to pursue work.
For that day.
For that day, right. And here's my cancellation policy. Please look at it. So, I do that. And I changed quote to estimate. It's an estimate, which means it's
I really like that. I hadn't thought of it because I always use estimate, but I almost asked you why you did, and I thought, oh, of course, I know why she does that.
Because things change.
Because things change.
Overnight, and I want the flexibility of charging more money if I need to.
That is awesome. Tony, we got a question?
We do. We actually do.
Awesome.
From our good friend, Austin Sabato.
Hey, Austin, my man.
Thanks for tuning in today.
Austin, you're my man too.
Austin would like to know if you wouldn't mind sharing how much is a standard makeup kit fee?
Okay, so I am what they call a combo artist, which again in freelance, this is how the producers like to save money. We'll hire one person for makeup and hair, which is fine. In union, they don't ever cross over. So I'll do makeup and hair. So a kit fee for me is about $50 to $100, depending on what we're doing. Exactly. If I have to do a period piece where I'm doing big hair and lots of stuff, then it would be more money. If it's just a regular kind of corporate video thing, then it's $50, and that's $25
Honestly, to be honest, I got to interrupt you. That seems cheap to me.
I know, it's low. I know. I've been able to get, because I've been in the industry for so long and I know exactly what I need, I've been able to get my budgets working for me every single month.
Great.
So I know that as a makeup artist, I purchase in bulk, so I know how much I'm going to go through, so I can bring that savings to the client.
Oh, that's awesome. That surprised me. I would have expected it to be a couple $100, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's not that much unless I'm doing some kind of more movie situation or if there's special effects involved. But I will charge you an equipment charge, so that's something that comes,
Talk to me about hair for a minute, because I know when I was always up doing the junkets, they always had hair and makeup. It was two separate things. How do you combine the two? That's got to be a little bit of a worry, though. I mean, the hair that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Hair is a huge deal, and I do a couple things. If I know from a producer standpoint or from the AD standpoint that we're going to be short on time, I do a couple things. I will either have someone from my team come in, and I'll pay them for just doing blowouts or something like that.
Okay.
Or I'll have the actress come in with dry hair, and I'll start just with styling.
Okay.
Or I ask if I have if time is not tight, I ask for a 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour.
Oh, so you say, I need this much time in there.
Yep.
I need to crank out that much time.
Absolutely. And I will do that long before day one.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it day one.
Right.
So I talk to whoever's going to be doing the schedule.
Yeah. Great. So when you're, do we have something, Tony? Do we have okay, let's get a question.
I've got another question.
Cool.
Some guy named Gary Hyman. I don't know who the hell he is.
Gary Hyman? What's he doing out of prison?
Whoa. Okay,
All
all right, Sean, where'd my question go?
He commented on the other.
On
Just read
Burnie's
it.
page.
Would he go to Twitch to comment?
Well, where? No, we don't know where the hell he is.
Sorry, Barry.
We
All
produced
right,
a
all
lot.
right, Gary.
Yeah,
All
sorry,
right.
Gary.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh.
Okay. Gary would like to know, how would you apply makeup if the actor is moving from interior scene to exterior all in one shot?
Oh, yeah.
And you've had to do
and
that.
I've had to do that. And that's where something like that makeup light comes in handy. So I would definitely look at the makeup. I would do the makeup in like the 5,000 Kelvin. So that I can see exactly matching skin tone, all that kind of stuff. I don't have any lines of demarcation. If I have to fill in beards, all of that. And then that's where I pull out my gels, and I will gel the light so that I can match the onset lighting and see what the makeup looks like. It should be good. If it needs to be tweaked in some way, shape, or form, like say if I'm taking your beard and taking the gray out of it, I want to make it look as normal and natural.
You better
as
raise
possible.
the makeup kit fee on that.
Yeah,
one.
well, and this is where the skill comes into play. It's about me knowing exactly what products work.
It's the years of experience.
Yes, and so that I can do it and make it look natural, so it doesn't look like I've actually just tweaked the makeup or
just
anything
made
like
it
that.
darker.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's interesting. So that little light, I mean, as a tool,
Oh,
that is pretty.
it's probably
crucial.
the best investment I've ever made.
And
next to my
I think you're
brushes.
the only. Not to say you are the only, but you're the only makeup person I know who has brought their own light to set.
Do you hear that?
Am I correct?
Don't you want to pay my rate? Yeah. Yes, I think. I honestly, I hear that from every single lighting director I work with, as well as anybody else. I mean, people are just like, I can't believe she brings her own light. Well, I mean,
but it makes so much sense.
Right. But I
because you have the
understand also from,
consistency.
but I also understand your position. This is where this whole relationships and working with, people, other crew. I don't want to have to go to production and say, please give me a light and spend more money.
Yeah.
Pay my equipment charge, which is minimal next to what you're going to charge them for an extra light, no offense.
Right.
But, and pay my equipment charge and I'll bring it myself. But I'm going to invite you in to make sure everything is looking good.
It would be highly petty, but do you ever get any pushback from gaffers who are supporting the lighting? I mean, I would applaud you bringing it.
I don't. You know what
myself,
I get? I get. Where's that from? And why didn't I invent it?
Why can't I?
You know,
Why
right,
didn't I invent
right.
it?
Because I mean, honestly, you know, I think the makeup
That's
light
so
too
true. Yeah.
rents makeup lights nowadays. So
Wow.
I mean,
That's
I was
so
like,
huge.
now if you invented something that you could rent to the
No,
production for the
that
makeup
would
person,
be huge. That
you know,
would be
it's like
huge.
something different,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So, yeah, so I just, I you know, there was a need, and it was filled by this company, and I saw it at a.
No, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I saw
It's
it
brilliant.
at a.
And you said, do you want to name the person that made
Oh,
it? Or
the person who actually invented it, the two people who own the company, one of them is Vivian Baker, very famous makeup artist. You can look her up on IMDb, but she works mostly with Chris Pratt and Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, people like that. And she was getting very unhappy with the lighting that she was being provided in the makeup trailers, and we had technology being changed and all that. And so her husband, who was working in lighting, he invented this panel light for her, and so she was able to take it with her to different sets and set it up in the makeup trailer, and people were like, whoa, what's going on? But she's also, she does the prosthetics, and she has to have very specific light so that she can see everything from blending edges and, you know, 4K, 6K, 8K.
Oh.
Yikes!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, the light is necessary, for sure.
Yeah, that's really brilliant.
Yeah.
Very good job, very good job. I'm really sort of surprised that niche wasn't filled sooner.
No, it was
right?
not. It was not for TV and film.
Yeah,
I mean, there was little lights that you can buy here and there on Amazon and things like that. But you tell me, I mean, if I needed an LED light, like for what I do from your world,
Right.
thousands,
Oh,
right?
Well, it's going to be expensive.
Big, bulky, though, for me to carry
It's going to be
around?
big, and it's probably going to be way too bright.
Bright, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Working in the close quarters you want to work in.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So yeah, those things, but yeah, it all finds a way. Of course, I always say, you know, within the lighting world, our economics never support anything that's not. You know, it has to be a super light for the economics to work. You know, a regular light just won't do it.
No, agreed.
You know?
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, that's incredible. Let me, you know what? Let me ask you this question. I don't know if it fits. We didn't talk about it. I've never really actually discussed it with you. What kind? Because I'm and now my head's here because we're getting into sales. I'm talking to manufacturers, and I'm learning much more about that world.
Sure.
What is your relationship like with cosmetic companies? Is there any juice you get from being a film and television makeup artist? Or?
Yeah. Sometimes there is. I mean, there's definitely companies out there like MAC Cosmetics is one of them that do have gratis programs so that you can call in favors or you can ask, you know, for a little support, you know, towards something that you're working on. I mean, these 1 day, 2 day, one-off things that you're working on, not so much.
Yeah.
They need to be able to say, they need to be able to say, hey, you know, we supported Melissa Street on this. But, you know, there's a lot of companies, actually, hair and makeup companies and skincare companies that will definitely gratis you. But they want a little juice. They want a little, who you working with? And, when, you know, when does this come out? And that kind of thing.
And do they want some specific social media posts?
They'd like some specific social media posts. I definitely do not do that. I realized recently, actually, here's a little tip, that within some of my NDA agreements that there were these words called a plug-ola and a pay-ola, which I had never heard of before.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what it basically said was if you inadvertently tie an actor, an actress, or the network, or the production company that you're working with to a brand, that I can be sued.
Whoa.
Inadvertently. And if I sign that NDA, you know, and that's kind of crappy when you have things like BTS cameras right in your face sometimes now that are happening, and they're showing products or being very specific about stuff, you know. So, but it's called a plug-ola and a payola. I'd never heard of that before until recently.
You know what? I didn't know that had filtered down there, but
it did.
It actually makes a lot of sense. Because you're with somebody like MAC, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar international company, I assume.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's an actor on set, and he gets or she gets tied into those two things.
It's true.
There's somebody can lose money, or somebody can gain money, where nobody else is getting compensated.
That's right.
So I see it. That's very interesting. I had
and,
no idea.
And they got smart. They got savvy with it. So
they got very savvy.
Yeah. So read your NDAs.
Yeah.
Question for you though.
Yeah.
Do you end up in these situations having to cover or use things to cover the makeup
Sometimes,
you're using?
yeah,
to
sometimes
make sure
we
that
will.
nothing is visible?
Yep, so bring
Oh,
on the
is
black
that
gaff tape. In
right?
fact, I carry black gaff tape specifically
Do
for
you?
that reason.
Hey, Catherine Lighty, I can get you a
Hey,
job tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And when,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many uses for that. But
That's-
yes, I
that's
will do that.
wild.
I will do that, especially for BTS stuff.
That's wild, yeah. I know it's encroaching. It used to be the Wild West, and almost, even, I mean, it still kind of is,
Yeah.
but even recently, you know what I mean? I've gotten so little pushback on any BTS I've done, but I've always kept it
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
sort of at the truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've pushed back
Yeah.
because it is very invasive.
Yeah.
Especially if there's something that's being done where an actress is exposing her skin or something like
Yeah.
that. Or if the BTS is literally making it impossible for me to do my job.
Oh, yeah.
And
They
I
shouldn't
get-
be in the way.
Yeah, I get very, if we're not sort of setting it up, and
Yeah.
then they kind of come
Right.
in, if it's literally encroaching
Just-
on my
just
ability to
as-
do my
yeah.
work, then I get pretty boisterous about it,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I could see that.
Yeah,
because
I'll
you
just
want
put
somebody-
I'll just put my brush
Yeah.
down and say, you let me know when you're done.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
but go tell my, AD who's going to be screaming at me in a second that I'm not on time
Yeah,
management.
that you're not doing
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
so-
Wow. Yeah.
Don't you
and
want to
then-
hire me again? I'll be on time.
And every project now, when we were doing BTS or back in the day,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We were the only ones doing it.
Right.
Now almost every production has a BTS
Yes,
crew.
it's completely separate.
It is.
crew.
It's a whole
Yeah,
different thing.
yeah.
I talked to a guy the other day. We're going to have him on the show too, and he does specific BTS.
Yeah.
That's what he does
Yeah.
on sets.
I want to say one thing about the BTS too
Yeah.
is we've even been approached with having separate contracts from BTS companies that would do things like, we're going to be able to do anything we want with the footage of you and you get nothing. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And my team and I have been like, I'm not signing it, and
Yeah.
I've gone to the producers and been like, what are we going to work out? Are we going
Yeah.
to work out that they can just see my hand? But I don't want to be on BTS. Plus, I don't necessarily look great.
You're not
I'm
presenting
working
yourself in the
12
way
hours,
that you
16
want
hours.
to.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
the last thing I want.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I had never heard of that.
Yeah.
Separate BTS.
Separate BTS contract, and you get nothing, and they can portray you in any way they want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'm not in reality TV. So
Yeah.
that'll be a
Yeah.
no for me.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. That's we got a question, Tony?
We got another question.
Awesome.
We got questions.
Question.
Is there a difference when it comes to applying makeup for stills versus film or
Yes.
video?
Yes.
Or is it all the same?
No, it is not all the same. Television film work, because we're working on 4K, 6K, and 8K technology, there is no Photoshop. So, I mean, I know that there are programs that you can use that soften, skin or correct skin a little bit, but that's very expensive on the post-production end of things. I mean, the whole reason why
They don't want to do that for the makeup artist, right?
Makeup artists get hired so that they don't have to pay a ton of money in post. When it's a still photography or still work, I mean, it's different. You can sculpt out, make those, we call them the unblended stripes. You can make the unblended stripes happen in the contouring and all that, and then they can go in and soften that all they want to, but not in TV and film. It doesn't
Right.
happen that way. If it does, it's a millions, some Marvel, movie that's got millions and millions and millions of dollars behind it
Right.
for post-production.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a different way you do it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It was, and of course, that's always been my thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is not a fair statement to say, but anybody could light something standing still.
Right.
Yeah, I'm walking across
Right.
the room. That's a
That's
whole
true.
different animal.
That's true.
Yeah.
And for us, this whole thing with the contour and highlight now, depending on where you put it, presents itself as sweat depending on how it's lit.
Oh,
so
really?
it can look like somebody is actually sweating when they're not sweating. They're just, they look luminous. You use so
they
much,
look
it looks
sweaty.
like they're sweating.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, there's a much
Interesting.
different way that we do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's just say this. Somebody who hasn't had your breadth of experience,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And maybe this is a little, open to interpretation, but what kind of attitude should they have on set? Because look, I mean, let's face it. We
Yeah.
all want to be cooperative and
Sure,
nice and
sure.
do all that. But just as you've been saying here the last few statements,
Yeah.
there can be people that walk in and step on your toes.
Yes, there is.
You know, I know you don't put up with any
No,
shit,
I
so
don't.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
How does somebody do that, still stays comfortable, and maybe they're not as, maybe they don't have the clout you have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think it's just a matter of, coming from a friendly nature. You don't have to be friends, but you have to be friendly. And having the confidence in knowing what you bring to the table and your value. And then you're able to actually have a discussion like, this doesn't work for me. Can we figure something else out? Don't be someone that just says flat out no. Be someone that's, you are
You have to
providing
work
a
with the
service,
people,
and
yeah.
you have to work, and you want to build a relationship. So you don't want to be that hardcore, hard-nosed, I don't get along with anybody makeup artist.
Yeah.
You want to definitely do a good job, and you want to bring forth what they need. But you need to have the confidence in saying, hey, this doesn't work.
And you have to remember, I think, that you may be alone, but you are a department head.
Yeah.
There is something there
Right. Yep.
that needs to be protected.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think just speaking up before it's too late, trying to get as much information as you can in the pre-production process so that you can kind of know what's coming down the line. But I mean, it's really up to you as a makeup artist to be controlling your department. Time management, what's happening that day, being, conversing with the second AD who's making your schedule, first ADs, all of that. Knowing who does what on a set, what their job responsibilities are, that will help you as well.
Right.
And you're coming from a place of respect, so hopefully you're going to get respect back.
Yeah.
So,
I think it would be nearly impossible for someone who is a makeup artist, had never done film and television, to walk onto a set and do that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's rough.
Of course, the skill would be there.
Right.
But the politics is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it's something you learn. We call it like the set etiquette of what you're going to learn
Yes.
eventually.
Yes.
Everybody has started somewhere. Everybody has a first day, on set, and they have to learn. You have to be open to learning. You don't know everything. It's your first day, so don't act like you do. And set etiquette. Knowing who does what, knowing where to stand, knowing how to not be.
Those all specific things, but just remembering too the basic rules.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Politeness.
Yes,
things
politeness,
like that,
the golden rule. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if somebody was just starting out and they want to come to you and they say, I really want to do film and makeup, what is your process? Because I know you probably get hit up a lot.
I do
too.
get hit up a lot, actually.
What is your process there? You can't take
Right.
everybody, I got that.
I don't take anybody.
You don't take, well,
not
that
really.
settles it.
So, I mean, I have a team in place, and it's been 11 years, 12 years, something
How
like
many
that.
people you got on the team?
Around 5, 6, it
Okay.
depends. I do take apprentices. However, it's more because it's something that the person has made an impression on me. And I would like to actually help them.
Yeah.
But what I recommend is what happened to me, and I went to makeup school. Not everybody can afford it, and I understand that, but I do not feel, and I will never understand you guys learning on YouTube or anything like that, or learning on social media. There's too many interpretations of what is correct
Right.
television and film makeup. And I don't think necessarily that is the best place. You can learn certain skills, but not the entire thing.
Right.
And so when you do go to a more professional makeup school, they're usually taught, do your research, but they're usually taught by somebody like me, who has 30 years or more experience. So they're really coming from that, I've done this before. Let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's teach how it's actually done. So I do recommend schools, even though a lot of people, even if it's online, I think schools are getting savvy with that too. If they have a brick and mortar, but okay, how do we get this online now? So
yeah.
because I know
Yeah.
that times are changing.
And I think you do have
So-
to be careful about where you're putting your money and,
Yeah,
and where
you
you're
do.
doing it.
Yep.
And everybody in this business, I say the same thing.
Yeah.
Although it can be hard to get on set, but it takes time to build relationships, and that's really what you're talking about.
And another thing, real quick, makeup schools, if they really told you what it was like, you might not spend your money.
I think that's the very big truth. I think that's a very big
I mean, if people would have told me, hey, you know what, it's going to cost you 28 grand. And here's what you're going to get after the fact.
Yeah.
Here's what you got to do for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm not so
you've
sure
got-
I'd do it.
Yeah, you don't have any guarantees when you walk out this door. either.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not really sure I would have, I went to makeup school on and off for 3 years, and then I apprenticed for free for 3 years. I mean, it was like 6 years. That's like people who are doctors.
Well,
It's like,
exactly.
what?
That's a point I make all the time.
Yeah.
If you've been in the business 2 years, you've got an associate's degree. If you've been in, 4 years, you got a master's, 5 a bachelor, and 8 years, you're a doctorate.
Right. Yeah.
That really is. Your knowledge base should reflect those same things.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's a tough thing. And another thing I always come back to too is this is a personality-based business.
Oh my gosh.
You can be the best makeup artist in the world, understand everything technically.
Yes.
But if your personality just doesn't, thrive under pressure, or you
nobody wants to
get
work
a
with you.
lot of extra politics that you don't need involved with your job, you're not going to be happy. You're
Right.
not going to make it.
Yeah.
You have to have the right personality.
Yeah, I always say that 98% is your attitude, and the other 2% is your skill. And the skill is something you can learn, but the attitude, it's just like, man, people would rather work with somebody who has less skill and is pleasurable. Is somebody that's so nice and open and willing to do things and enthusiastic, happy to be there. Than someone who's uberly skilled.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I've always said if I had the choice between a film school graduate straight out and somebody who's never had a job and somebody who had been in the drive-through at McDonald's, it will always be the McDonald's drive-through. Every time.
That's awesome.
Every time. For the simplest reasons you can imagine. They take orders.
They do.
What a concept!
Hey.
What a concept!
Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong.
Go through the drive-through. Hey, you want to get in film and video?
Go work at McDonald's for a year before you can come on my team.
You know what? But all the things, because they get pressure, they're under pressure,
Yeah,
they're
true.
all those things.
Yeah. Retail sales.
Retail sales would be great.
Yeah.
Tony, we got a question?
We do.
Awesome. I love
We
these
wish we had more
questions.
questions.
Keep
You know
them
what?
coming.
Yeah.
Don't
Keep
be
it coming.
afraid to post a question.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Like I said on here, there are no stupid questions. Whether you're a beginner or an expert, if you've got something on your mind that you desperately want answered, put it in the comments. We love to answer questions.
Yes,
we love to
please.
answer
This
questions.
is the time to ask those questions.
Yeah,
That's
That's
right.
right.
You have a
That's
wealth
right.
of knowledge on set here.
Yep.
So, our question here is, Melissa, how can the director and director of photography, as well as other departments, be more collaborative with the makeup artists? And then there's a follow-up, but we'll start with that.
Yeah. So thank you for asking that question, because that's super important. And whoever you are, I'd like to work with you. Because that's a question that doesn't get asked.
Who was it,
enough.
Tony?
Austin.
Oh, it's Austin.
It's a question
You
that
got to
doesn't
work
get
with
asked
Austin.
enough.
He's a
Yeah.
great guy.
And I think mostly just people just don't get it. We makeup artists who actually know what they're doing, they know more than just lip gloss and powder and stuff like that. We can bring to the table loads of different things, and especially helping you guys out with the time management and with how your subject gets to camera with what attitude they have. So we can help facilitate a nicer environment for them to actually get the makeup process done. So there's that. Meeting with us in a post-production situation, which I know a lot of things don't get paid in pre-production. Sorry, not post-production, but in pre-production.
Yes.
I know that there's a lot of people who need to meet with me or talk with me or have a conference call or Skype or whatever. I welcome that. I don't necessarily charge for it. And I would love it. There's no TMI with me. I love all the information.
Yeah.
So the more information you can give me, the more information I can give you, and then the more collaboration happens, and we can make the on-set time smoother.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear, the one thing I will tell you, the one thing that totally drives me crazy is when a producer calls me or a director calls me and says, "It's easy. It's just going to be powder." And I'm like, the first thing I want to say is, hey, I don't tell you how to do your job. Why would you tell me how to do my job? You have absolutely no idea if it's just powder, and where do you get off telling me that? One day I just want to show up with just a puff and just powder and be like, so here's what you're paying me for. I'm ready.
Right.
can
Right.
bring them on.
Right.
Oh, there's all the colors of the rainbow. Well, I have one powder. That's okay,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to be a problem. I'm sorry, he'll turn ashy, but it'll be
Yeah.
all right.
It'll be okay.
Because in post, you're going to pay for the color correction. Have a
Sure.
nice day.
Yeah.
Like really, honestly. I mean, I just really would like to do that sometime. It makes me nuts that people
Yeah.
think that that's okay
Yeah.
to just spit out there. And really, what I feel like it is it's like a hey, could you be cheaper?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's my
Oh,
time. It doesn't have anything to
totally.
do with what exactly you need me to do.
It's
it has
the
everything
half-day argument.
Yeah, no half days.
There is no half days.
No,
There is no
there's
half
never
days.
is. Especially
Yeah.
if you'd like to collaborate ahead of time in pre-production, there is definitely no half day.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
By the time I get there and get home, there's no half day. And I always say this, that yes, as long as you're comfortable me walking off the set at 1 o'clock,
Right?
then we can do this. Yeah.
I'm
And
saying,
it's
yeah.
just better off just to not even give anybody
No, just
that
ask
leeway.
the rate. Just
Yeah.
ask the rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to use me for 10 hours, great.
Well, let's
If
talk
not,
about
2
rate
hours,
then.
fantastic.
Let's talk about rate without
Okay.
being so
Yeah.
crass as to ask you what your rate is.
Right, rates
you
are
know.
rates numbers are all over the place,
Yeah.
and there are makeup artists nowadays. I don't know if they have 1 year under their belt. They'll charge you $1,500 a day. I don't know how they figure this out. I don't know. What I did in the very beginning was I called around to production companies and said, hey, what's a typical rate that you pay a freelance makeup artist, say for a 10-hour day? And they would tell me. And then I called another production company, and then I called another production company. And I also said, hey, what do you typically pay a director? Because I don't want to be the most expensive person on the set.
Yeah.
So no
he's
hire
right under
for
our
me.
makeup person.
Yeah, no hire for me, right? So I did that in the beginning, and I
Yeah.
really encourage other people to do that. Rates change from city to city,
Right.
state to state. I mean, obviously, it really doesn't have anything to do with necessarily how many people sit in the chair. It might have to do with what you're asking me to do. Like if you're asking me to do a special effect, then
Right.
that can be something that's different. But if it's get 5 people ready to be on camera, okay, then that's what I do, and here's how much my rate is to do that,
Yeah.
hair and makeup. So. So that's basically what a rate is for me.
So somebody
I'm
coming
competitively
in,
priced.
somebody coming into the market,
Yeah.
and let me just give you a what if, 5 years experience. I mean, this person is working jobs, and I almost say she every time I do makeup, but
Right.
many makeup
Right.
are
men.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah, men.
Absolutely.
But the person goes in, say they've had 5 years of experience.
Yeah.
They're in a market of, say, a couple million people. Let's take it out of Southern California,
Sure.
put it somewhere in the Midwest.
Okay.
Reasonable. There's agencies there. In other words, it's a functioning economy for media.
Okay.
Right? What would you say with those given points? Somebody walking in this day and age, right
Mm-hmm.
now, what would be a reasonable rate for 10 hours?
I think a reasonable rate for 10 hours for film and TV anywhere, like you're talking about, is probably like $500 a day.
Okay.
I think what I want people to understand is, and how I break things down, even
Yeah.
producers should understand this, is I break it down to an hourly. I mean, and everything that I have to do in pre-production that I'm not getting paid for, anything. I mean, it's like, what am I making hourly?
Right.
And, if it turns out that eventually I'm making minimum wage, you can totally forget me taking this job. I mean, no way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
My makeup kit is 25 grand.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that makeup kit and putting it on your production.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I'll
Yeah.
go to CVS and buy some stuff for you, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to,
Take
whip out
the
the
whole,
big guns.
all of your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, I encourage you guys to understand, how much would you work for when
Yeah.
you have to, replace everything in your kit every, year, 2 years.
Well, every month you've got replacements.
Every month.
Every month.
Yeah,
What
I
would
mean-
you say you spend on just?
You
on
want to ask me? You want to ask my husband?
Yeah.
Because I'll say $5,
Yeah.
but he'll say thousands.
Yeah,
So it all depends. Because the other thing that comes with this industry is you want to keep abreast of what's happening in our world of technology. And so things change with makeup. You
Right.
also, when you're in service to the person in the chair, I mean, it could be someone who's a celebrity that wants a specific kind of brand, and if they look at your makeup, kit and they
and
go,
it's all just a
you know,
hodgepodge.
hodgepodge, or it's all low-end cosmetic, they're going to be like, wait, where's all your good stuff, man? You know, why don't you bring it out for me?
Right,
you know?
right.
So, there's not another crew member that has to do that. So think about it when you're hiring a makeup artist.
Right.
I mean, you really want to do some research, you know, and I talked about it today that, you know, I don't pay for a Google search, you know, on myself. It's what it is. You know, I'm probably on page 7, you know, if you Google me, I don't know. You know, so you should do your research and figure out, look on the IMDb's, look at the resumes, you know, see who we worked with, see what we've done, you know, and then hire. And my rate, you know, I've had producers say to me, I passed you on by because I looked at your resume and it seems to me like you'd be too expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of scary.
And you know what? Thank you so
well,
much.
kind of, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
but I also want to encourage people to be competitive in their rate, but to not be the most expensive person. And do your research. And when you're, you know, but I think 500 is a pretty decent
I think
rate
it's low.
around.
Frankly, I think it's low.
Given the specifics that they, wow.
Yeah. I'll tell you why, Melissa.
You want to be my agent?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to do that.
Cha-ching!
We've got another question. I want to hear the question first, and I'll come back and tell you that. Who do we got, Tony?
Angelique.
Angelique, how
Costanza.
you doing? Angelique helped me out yesterday.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, there was a shoot. They needed cable. Angelique messaged me on Facebook, and she goes, hey, can you help this guy out? And it was my good buddy, Daniel Cagle.
There you go.
And,
I thought you were going to say
yeah,
Angelique
you
ran
used it
cable. I was going to be like, chick power, woman power.
Angelique
yes.
runs cable all the time. Yeah, she's a grip. Yeah.
Nice.
Bow down,
Yes.
bow down. Thank you, Angelique.
Right on,
thank
Angelique.
you.
Nice.
So got it for him, and everybody was happy.
Killer.
Anyway, what does Angelique say?
She'd like to know, do you quote for a team or only for you?
I send an estimate.
Estimate.
I don't quote.
Yeah.
I estimate. The reason I send an estimate for me and my team. It depends on what the producer's parameters are. I mean, when we have a conversation, if it sounds like something I can't handle by myself, because producers would love to have me do 14 people in a day by myself. Of course. I will say no, you know, and I'll send them an estimate based on their information. Here's what you said to me. Here's what your parameters are, and here's what I need, and here's what it's going to be. I realize it's probably not the least expensive thing in the world, but
no. But you know what? We got something else, Tony? We got another one?
Actually, just real quick.
Yeah.
Eric Addison.
Eric!
As one who hires Melissa, don't tell her that her rate is too low.
Sorry, Eric. Sorry, I got to throw you under the bus on this one, buddy. Yeah, Eric, great guy. And
I love Eric.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
He's definitely one of the people that sees the value in what I do.
Absolutely.
So, and has been a major supporter of makeup artistry and hair people.
He is such a great supporter of everybody in the industry, and
is.
he does such great work. He's just a great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Why hasn't he been on the show, Burnie?
He will be. Now he will be.
Yeah.
Now he will be. Got to ask a question first to get on the
Burnie.
show. That's all.
Call Burnie. We want you on the show.
Yeah.
Better call
So,
Burnie.
you know what? In picking up on that point,
Yeah.
why I say $500 is too low.
Yeah.
When I got in the business in 1993,
Yeah.
makeup artists were making $500 then.
No kidding.
Well, some were. I mean, not everybody. You know,
Wow.
it would be $350. But our wages in this industry have not risen in any department.
Interesting.
For 10, 15 years.
Well, I just
you know?
gave myself a raise after 11 years.
Yeah.
So I had to,
Yeah.
because the state of California changed a lot of laws like workman's compensation insurance and things like that.
Yeah.
So my thing was, I was like, well, he gave me the parameters with what you said to me in the Midwest and all that. I don't live in the Midwest.
Right. But $500, I mean, is I guess I'm thinking more in this area, but 500 too. It's still, I mean, when you go to a, you know, look, I never knew about this until I was married at 62. Okay, my wife has been to the hairdresser and makeup and stuff like that. I couldn't believe what they got. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I thought, why didn't I do that?
Yeah, you're also talking about salon makeup or individual makeup versus being on a crew, and
Yeah.
filming something. There's also network television has set rates, whether it's freelance or union.
Yeah.
And budgets are smaller. So
budgets are smaller.
Sometimes I like a little from a lot.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
do. I mean, I won't really sway away so much from my labor fee, but I can take some of the sting out of hiring me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I will be very, able to work with a
Well,
producer.
it's
I'll be
your
open.
knowledge base.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
still, yeah.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel that the rise of places like Netflix with production, has that affected rates in the industry? No?
I don't think it's really affected rates in the industry. I mean,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, if I can get a 3-picture deal with Netflix, I'm in.
Yeah.
Hey, no
yeah,
problem.
well, I'll go for that. Well, bring me along, will
Hey,
ya?
can we do
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You know what's actually affected my rates? I'll tell you this. What's affected my rates is the social media influencer being more of the person who is
Yep.
the expert.
Yep.
Who has the more likes? Who has the more followers? That is actually
True.
a thing now that producers are actually looking at from makeup and hair artists. The other thing that affects my rates are things like glam squads. That's actually, hi, this is the Glam Squad. It's an agency that will send out a makeup artist to you, and
Well,
there's
slow
an
down.
app and all
I'm
this
not
stuff.
following. There's the Glam Squad.
Yeah.
Is what, an app or a company?
It's an
or
app
something?
and a company.
And so they'll do what?
They'll let you hire a makeup artist for like $75 to come in for an hour and do
my
your makeup.
God. Are
It's-
you kidding?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's horrible.
But they don't just charge $75. They charge a lot more than that, and then
Yeah,
they pay the
right.
Glam
Oh, and they
Squad
pay the
less.
person $75.
Oh yeah, it's like
yeah.
that's the kind of thing that messes with
Yeah.
my rate, or
Yeah.
makes me look incredibly expensive.
Yeah,
So
right, right,
yeah.
yeah.
So.
When everybody thinks I'm too expensive, I raise my rate.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
thank you, my
for
friend.
stopping by. How do we get a hold of you if we want to hire you for our next job?
You send up a smoke signal. No, you call me on the phone, or you just go to my website, which is epicmakeup.com, and
Okay.
all the information is there. You can call me directly. I prefer a phone call, but
Yep.
you can also email me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how you get in touch
All
with me.
right.
All
All
right.
right, Melissa. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, and
great time.
we will see you next week on Burnie's Applebox.
Cut. That's a wrap.